so many fail, but others succeed.
My favorite interview came from the most unlikely source. He's a boxing guy named Evander Holyfield. You all know Evander, right? He won more heavyweight championships than anyone, and I asked him, I go, Evander, what makes you special? He looks at me and says, I have a higher standard. I go, what does that mean? He goes, well, if you have a car and you will not tolerate it running bad, being dirty, you have a better car than your neighbor. He goes, at home, if you have a household, you will not tolerate your husband being drunk, kids being a mess, you have a better family dynamic. In sports, I showed up early, left late, invented exercises, had a higher standard, and I won more championships than anyone else ever will. I go, wow. He goes, where could you be, or anyone, if you're a pet groomer, stockbroker, or insurance guy, and had a higher standard than the person standing next to you? I went, that's pretty cool. And I go, but didn't it hurt getting in a fight? He goes, yeah, it hurts, but you don't focus on the pain. As soon as you focus on the blows, where do you think you end up? Knocked out on your back. He goes, but outside the ring, that's what everyone does. They focus on the gas prices and the war and my boyfriend's mean, and they wonder why they never become a champion in their own field. And then he pulls me in close and he goes, you know what the funny thing is? When you do win the championship, everyone comes to their feet. They chant your name in victory. They raise your hand, and a guy comes out with a big belt and puts it on your waist. At that moment, at that second, you do not feel even one of the punches you took along the journey. But the guy in the losing locker room will feel every bruise for the rest of their life, wishing they had a higher standard. The next person I got to sit down with was Genevieve Boss. She started this company called Pink Magazine. I said, give me some counsel I could pass on to the women entrepreneurs of the world that I meet. And she pulled out a crisp $100 bill. She goes, you want this? I go, yeah. She goes, great. She crumpled it. She goes, you want it? I go, yeah. She dropped it. She goes, you still want that? Absolutely. So she stood on it. She goes, you still want this? I go, yeah. She goes, why? I go, it's $100. She goes, but why is it when we get crumpled, we get thrown to the ground, and we get stepped on, we think our value changes as a human being? How many times have we quit one class short from a degree? Sales, marriage, marketing. It's easy to quit. So when I wanted to go out on this journey, I didn't want to talk about their people's success stories. I wanted to know what made them persevere. What made you keep going? The first person was a guy named Dave Linegar. You might not know him, but you know his icon he created. I said, Dave, what was it like getting started? He goes, man, it was brutal. He goes, for 2 years, every phone call that came in was from a bill collector. I was so embarrassed when the phone would ring, I'd run across the hall and pick it up so my secretary wasn't embarrassed. He goes, the third year, they threw me in jail. They called me a liar, a fraud. I go, what'd you do? He says, well, I took my attitude from trying to prove them wrong to something more admirable, prove myself right. He says, I called every bill collector, says, look, I'm going to be honest. I don't have $50,000 I owe you, but I got $50 and a promise that I won't quit. I won't give up. Don't give up on me. I won't give up on my dream. On the fourth year, someone bought the very first business, and that's what we know today as RE/MAX Real Estate Corporation. And he says, forget about me and my success. I'm nothing. He goes, but how many people's lives were changed because I didn't quit? More importantly, how do we know that the person who's got the cure to cancer isn't about to give up because their phone's ringing at this moment?
Have you ever wondered why so many fail while others succeed?